Welcome to Weekly News Highlights, where we bring you the top stories of the week. I'm Song Yoo-jin, coming to you from Arirang's virtual studio. South Korean President Yoon visited the Czech Republic this week, eyeing major agreements, including sealing a multi-billion-dollar nuclear power plant deal. We cover the key outcomes of his four-day trip. North Korea ramped up tensions on the Korean Peninsula by testing 2 tactical ballistic missiles, one new and one upgraded. Leader Kim Jong Un says they are in response to what he calls, quote, grave threats from outside forces. For the first time in 4.5 years, the U.S. Federal Reserve slashed interest rates by 0.5 percentage point. We'll break down what triggered this decision and what it could mean for the economy. President Yoon arrived in Prague on Thursday, where he met with Czech President Petr Pavel. Before departing, President Yoon emphasized that finalizing the nuclear power plant deal between the state-run Korea Hydro and Nuclear Power Company and the Czech government was of paramount importance. Our presidential office correspondent Kim Do-yeon has more on what was discussed between the two leaders.
The Dukovany nuclear power plant project took center stage during a summit on Thursday between South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol and Czech President Petr Pavel. Pavel invited Yoon to the summit at Prague Castle after Korea Hydro and Nuclear Power was selected as a preferred bidder for the project.
저는 파벨 대통령님께 양국 기업들이 함께 건설할 두코바니 신규 원전이 한 체코 경제의 동반 발전과 에너지 협력의 이정표로서 양국의 전략적 파트너십을 강화하는 중요한 계기가 될 거라고 말씀드렸습니다.
This bidding was actually a very important opportunity for Czech industries. We're hoping for a high level of local production with around 60% involvement by Czech companies.
The two leaders also addressed the potential threat to the finalization of the project's contract, namely an appeal against the Czech Republic's decision by U.S. company Westinghouse, who says the Korean company doesn't have the license to use the nuclear power technology owned by the U.S. firm. President Yoon showed confidence that this dispute will be resolved, while President Pavel also said resolution would be mutually beneficial for both South Korea and the U.S. Meanwhile, the industry minister said that Seoul and Washington are working to resolve the issue at the moment.
South Korea and the United States agree on the need to strengthen global cooperation, and this cooperation includes the private sector's role in clean energy. In this regard, both sides are closely discussing resolving ongoing issues such as export control and exploring potential areas for collaboration to the fullest extent.
As for other areas of cooperation, the two nations agreed working together in high-speed railroad infrastructure. The Czech Republic's position as a manufacturing powerhouse in Europe relies heavily on rail for its logistics. In fact, despite being smaller than South Korea, the country has 1.8 times more railway track. In addition, the two leaders discussed security issues, calling each other like-minded nations. They also condemned Russia and North Korea for their recent military cooperation and promised to work together in the global community as responsible members. In addition, the two signed an MOU on cooperation for rebuilding Ukraine.
The two countries have agreed to continue providing practical support for the people of Ukraine and to work closely together in the future reconstruction efforts of Ukraine.
This is just the beginning of President Yoon's trip to the Czech Republic. He's set to meet with the Czech Prime Minister Petr Fiala, with whom he'll visit the city of Pilsen to see nuclear power plant facilities there and sign additional MOUs in different areas. Kim Do-yeon, Arirang News.
And in an exclusive interview, Arirang News Senior Presidential Office correspondent Oh Soo-young sat down with Czech President Petr Pavel ahead of the summit with President Yoon. Take a look.
South Korea and the Czech Republic have a very promising future ahead in nuclear energy, security and high-tech cooperation based on their shared values as liberal democracies. That's according to Czech President Petr Pavel in an exclusive interview with Arirang TV. Having agreed with President Yoon Suk-yeol to enhance their strategic partnership in their summit on Thursday, The Czech leader highlighted the two countries' budding bilateral ties, particularly after Prague selected a South Korean consortium as the preferred bidder for its Dukovany nuclear power plant project.
We also believe in a great potential of developing this cooperation further on, not only on our own nuclear power plant, but also extending that cooperation and good record from I hope, a successful project to other European countries, especially in Central and Eastern Europe, who will be interested in securing their energy supplies through nuclear power.
In the face of objections by US firm Westinghouse, which claims intellectual property rights over Korea's source technology for the reactors, the Czech leader said it would also benefit the American company if the dispute is settled soon.
Both sides, KHNP and Westinghouse, because with the technology of Westinghouse and the Korean production capacity and experience and guarantees, I believe that it gives us the best possible mixture of parameters that we are looking for. And of course, for both companies, it will be better to close these dispute by settlement rather than ongoing legal disputes.
As the two countries look to broaden the horizons of bilateral cooperation beyond energy security, Pavel also highlighted key strategic industries such as ICT, artificial intelligence, high-speed rail and transport grids, along with space technology. These collaborations are all the more crucial between like-minded partners as geopolitical interests and conflicting values blur the line between national and economic security. With rising concerns about military cooperation between Russia and North Korea in the context of the ongoing war in Ukraine, Pavel stressed the importance of strengthening ties with South Korea in defense, security, and fighting disinformation.
We have a number of views that are very similar with South Korea, so I believe that cooperating with such a country is a natural choice. We are not only economic partners, we are also partners in tourism, in culture, but we are also partners in NATO, because South Korea is a partner to NATO, because we believe that we share also our security interests.
As the Yoon administration aims to bolster South Korea's role in defending freedom, prosperity and the rule of law as a global pivotal state, the Czech leader noted he and Yoon share similar worldviews against the rise of authoritarianism. Furthermore, sharing his personal experience of Korean culture from his visit in 2016, Pavel said he enjoyed Korean cuisine and history, particularly rural areas and monasteries, as he called for greater cultural exchanges. The two countries will celebrate 35 years of bilateral relations and 10 years of establishing a strategic partnership next year. Oh Seong, Arirang News, Prague.
Now turning our focus to North Korea, the regime continued its provocations this week, testing new and upgraded ballistic missiles while also sending more trash-filled balloons. Shin Ha-young tells us more about these provocations and South Korea's response.
North Korea on Thursday claimed that it successfully tested a new type of tactical ballistic missile capable of carrying a super-large conventional warhead the day before. The state-run Korean Central News Agency said that the test of the missile named Hwasongpo 11 Ta 4.5 was equipped with a 4.5-ton super-large conventional warhead. The test aimed to verify the missile's accuracy at a medium range of 320 kilometers and the explosive power of the super-large warhead. This is the second time since July that the North has said it tested such a missile. The KCNA said the North also successfully conducted a test fire of a strategic cruise missile, claiming its performance has been upgraded. It added that North Korean leader Kim Jong Un oversaw the test and expressed satisfaction. Kim said that the tests are directly linked to external threats to North Korea's security and emphasized the importance of having the strongest technology and overwhelming power in both nuclear and conventional weapons. Meanwhile, the Joint Chiefs of Staff announced on Thursday that North Korea sent around 160 balloons carrying trash towards South Korea, which started Wednesday evening and continued into the night. The JCS reported finding some 30 trash bundles in Seoul and northern parts of Gyeonggi-do province. No harmful substances were found, with the trash mainly consisting of paper, plastic, and bottles. South Korean military officials on Thursday addressed Pyongyang's recent missile tests and the launch of waste-carrying balloons.
North Korea is far from what we'd consider a normal country. Their actions, such as launching trash balloons or missiles, are driven by various motives. One aim could be to incite internal conflicts in South Korea to advance their own agenda.
The presidential office issued a statement warning North Korea against short-range ballistic missile launches, urging an immediate halt to provocations, including the launch of waste-carrying balloons. 신하영, Arirang News.
Over in the U.S., former president and current Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump was rushed to safety last Sunday after what the FBI says was an apparent assassination attempt at his Florida golf club. Now, this came almost 2 months after Trump was injured following a shooting at a rally in Butler, Pennsylvania. Choi Soo-young has the details on the suspect and the ongoing investigation.
Ryan Wesley Rout, a 58-year-old white male from Hawaii, has been charged with 2 gun crimes: possession of a firearm by a convicted felon and possession of a firearm with an obliterated serial number. The authorities charged him in a federal court on Monday local time in West Palm Beach, Florida. He could face a maximum of 20 years in prison if convicted. According to the U.S. Department of Justice, at 1:31 p.m. on the 15th, a Secret Service agent walking along the edge of the Trump International Golf Club saw something that looked like a rifle and fired. Agents reportedly found a digital camera, backpack, loaded SKS-style rifle with a scope, and a bag of food in the area where Routh fled. He was arrested after a highway chase with more than 20 police cars. The FBI revealed that Routh had been hiding at the golf course for nearly 12 hours, starting from around 2 a.m. local time, as he waited for the former president and current Republican candidate Donald Trump. Following an assassination attempt in July during an outdoor rally in Butler, Pennsylvania, this was the second apparent attempt against Trump, leading to criticism about security failures once again. Ronald Rode, the acting director of the Secret Service, stated that the security was carried out as planned. He added that Trump's visit to the golf course was unscheduled and private, and the suspected gunman Routh didn't fire any shots at the golf course.
When it comes to Secret Service protection, we provide the highest levels. And the president wasn't even really supposed to go there. It was not on his official schedule. And so we put together a security plan, and that security plan worked.
On the same day, White House officials stated that U.S. President Joe Biden called former President Trump, expressing relief that he was safe, and Trump thanked Biden for the call.
I think thank God the president's okay. But one thing I want to make clear, the service needs more help. And I think the Congress should respond to their needs if they in fact need more services. I think we need some more personnel.
However, unlike the first assassination attempt, Trump blamed President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris during an interview with Fox News Digital, saying their rhetoric is causing him to be shot at. Choi Soo-young, Arirang News.
Meanwhile, in Lebanon, attacks involving explosive wireless devices targeted Hezbollah, killing more than 30 people. Israel is widely believed to be behind the explosions, though there has been no official comment. A day after the second attack, Israel and Hezbollah engaged in cross-border strikes, once again raising fears of an all-out war in the Middle East. Shin Ha-young has more on the situation.
Tensions in the Middle East are escalating. Following the explosions of electronic devices, including pagers and handheld radios, which killed 37 and injured 3,000 more in Lebanon and Syria, the Israeli military said it carried out large-scale airstrikes on southern Lebanon on Thursday, targeting 30 launches and terrorist infrastructure sites. The Israeli aerial attack also hit a weapons storage facility. Meanwhile, the Israel Defense Forces reported that a Hezbollah missile and drone strike in northern Israel on the same day killed 2 Israeli soldiers. The leader of Lebanon-based Hezbollah said the use of explosive electronic devices had crossed a red line and accused Israel of what it said represented a declaration of war.
The enemy violated, through this attack, all the regulations, laws, and red lines.
Israel hasn't made an official statement regarding the explosions, but has tacitly acknowledged its role by declaring it will continue military attacks on Hezbollah.
Over the past several days, we have held a series of important discussions. This is a new phase of the war. It includes opportunities, but also significant risks. Hezbollah feels that it is being persecuted, and the sequence of military and defense actions will continue.
The U.S., meanwhile, emphasized the need for diplomatic solutions while reaffirming that there will be no change to its military posture in the Middle East.
We are committed to the defense of Israel against terrorist organizations. That includes Hamas, it includes Hezbollah, includes other Iranian proxies. We will continue to stand by Israel's right to defend itself. But we don't want to see any party escalate this conflict, period.
We believe ultimately that the best way to lessen tensions in the region is through diplomatic means.
Amid fears of wider war, the UN Security Council is scheduled to meet on Friday to discuss the recent mass explosions. 신하영, Arirang News.
This week, the U.S. Federal Reserve lowered interest rates for the first time since 2020, slashing half a percentage point off benchmark rates. For our weekly focus this week, joining me in the studio to discuss this is our economics correspondent, Moon Hae-ryun. Welcome, Hae-ryun.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for your time. So, Hae-ryun, let's first talk about what was announced during the Federal Reserve's meeting on Wednesday.
Well, as you said, Yoo-jin, the Fed announced that it would be lowering interest rates by 50 basis points to bring the benchmark interest rate down to the 4.75 to 5% range. Half a percentage point may not sound like much, but it's considered a big step. Other than the emergency reductions made during the COVID-19 pandemic, it's the first time since the global financial crisis of 2008 that the Fed has slashed rates by such a significant amount. And what's more is that Fed policy makers also projected further rate cuts worth 50 basis points in the coming months, signaling confidence in its ability to manage the economy.
And what was the reason behind the Fed's decision?
Well, since July last year, the Fed has been keeping its benchmark interest rate at a two-decade high in an attempt to tackle inflation. And over the past few months, inflation has been falling, reaching 2.5% in August and getting close to the Fed's target. But high interest rates can hold back hiring, and recent figures have shown rising unemployment rates. This decision from the Fed therefore shows a shift in focus from inflation to addressing the U.S. job market. And here's what Fed Chair Jerome Powell said.
This decision reflects our growing confidence that with an appropriate recalibration of our policy stance, strength in the labor market can be maintained in a context of moderate growth and inflation moving sustainably down to 2%.
Right, so what effects could this have on the U.S. economy?
Well, the benchmark interest rate sets a standard for both borrowing and deposit rates. But lending rates are more competitive, meaning that they're more likely to move. Borrowing rates include things such as mortgages, car loans, and other debts such as unpaid credit card balances. In anticipation of the rate cut, mortgage rates have already fallen in the U.S., reaching a two-year low, which will provide relief for home buyers. And as I mentioned before, interest rates are being lowered in the interest of rejuvenating the job market, which recently saw unemployment rates rise to 4.2%. But experts say that monetary policy tends to have a time lag, so we'll have to keep an eye on the situation to see what happens.
Also, how have stock markets responded to the rate cut so far?
Well, market reaction on Wednesday was relatively subdued, the S&P 500 closing 0.3% down as traders digested the Fed's decision. Here's what an expert said about why this was the case.
This type of the aggressive cuts and also the long-term plan for reducing the rates kind of, make investors and market participants actually start suspecting, well, maybe they're aggressively lowering this because they're expecting the slowdown economy or even recession. Therefore, there could be some short-term fallback or pullback of the stock price.
And it was a short-term fallback. The U.S. market saw a surge on Thursday as traders digested the Fed's decision and began placing their bets on a soft landing. The Dow Jones Industrial Average and S&P 500 both closed at a record high as they climbed 1.2% and 1.7% respectively, while the tech-heavy Nasdaq showed even bigger gains of 2.5%. Lower interest rates tend to lead to a bullish market, especially for high-growth sectors such as technology, as they encourage economic growth and investments in riskier assets.
And last but not least, let's talk about South Korea. How could this rate cut affect the country's monetary policy?
Well, Yoon, the Bank of Korea's next interest policy meeting is due to take place next month, and there are several factors that are weighing in on their decision. The U.S. pivot in monetary policy is one of them, and it's expected that the rate cut could add weight to BOK decision makers to also cut rates. But experts say that the BOK will be looking for domestic economic indicators to make their decision, particularly the recent surge in household debt alongside weak domestic demand.
I think they will see whether the household debt and housing prices continue to grow because they have about a month to make their decision. If the household debt and housing prices keep on rising, then Bank of Korea may decide to not cut the rates at all or only cut the rates by 25 basis points rather than 50 like the U.S.
The Bank of Korea also commented on how it expects the rate cut to have a positive effect on the foreign exchange market. Generally speaking, high interest rates boost the value of currency, as we've seen reflected in the soaring US dollar in contrast with the weak Japanese yen. With the rate cut, currencies such as the Korean won are likely to rise against the dollar.
All right, thanks for the wrap-up, Henry. We really appreciate it.
My pleasure, Yoon.
On the cultural front, the Korean animated film Heartspring, Teeny Ping of Love surpassed 1 million ticket sales at the domestic box office on Monday, 41 days after its premiere. Now, this is the first time in 12 years that a homegrown animated film has reached the 1 million mark, following Speckles the Tarbosaurus back in 2011. Heartspring, Teeny Ping of Love is part of the Teeny Ping universe, which originated from the TV animation series Catch Teeny Ping, Fairies of Emotion. The series follows the main character Romy as she captures magical creatures called Teeny Pings. What's particularly fascinating is that this franchise isn't just loved by children, the typical audience for animated characters, but also by adults.
The Catch Teeny Ping series and the movie Heartspring, Teeny Ping of Love feature adorable characters and heartfelt storytelling. The story focuses on themes like love and friendship, making it truly touching. I think that's why it resonates so strongly with millennials and Gen Z. They're not just captivated by the cute characters, but also by the warmth and emotion woven into the story. It really brings together all the elements that appeal to the younger generation. Charming characters and a heartwarming narrative.
And with Monday's achievement, Heartspring, Teeny Ping of Love has become the second most watched Korean animated film in history, trailing only behind Leafy, A Hen into the Wild, which attracted 2.2 million viewers in theaters. And this Chuseok gave us a nice 5-day break, and with more holidays coming up next month, many are already planning their trips. For pet owners, this often means finding someone to take care of their furry friends. But now, with over a quarter of the population owning pets, more people are looking for pet-friendly travel options. And as you just saw on the screen, I recently took my own pet on a trip to one of these destinations. And here's what we discovered. If you're a pet owner planning to travel during the holiday season, there's a lot to think about. But with the rise in pet-friendly travel packages and airline services, taking your pet along with you has become much easier. Still, you need to consider how you'll get there, where you'll stay, and what you'll do once you do get there. For a family trip that includes a pet, South Korea's pet-friendly tourist cities could be just what you're looking for.
Our pet-friendly tourist city project is all about making travel with pets easier. We're working to make tourist spots, restaurants, hotels, and transportation more welcoming for pets, while also building the supported culture for non-pet owners and the local community around pet-friendly travel.
The project began last year with Taeangun County in Chungcheongnam-do Province and Ulsan City as the first pet-friendly spots. This year, Pocheon City in Gyeonggi-do Province and Suncheon City in Jeollanam-do Province have been added to the list.
10 of the biggest tourist landmarks of Pocheon welcome dogs of all sizes, and the city is just a 1-hour drive from Seoul, making it a convenient getaway. The city has 97 places to stay and 140 restaurants and cafes where you can go with your pets.
To find out more, I took a day trip to Pocheon with my dog, Tanbi. Many of its major landmarks, including the Pocheon Art Valley, a former quarry-turned-park, allow pets. Small dogs can even enjoy a monorail ride to the park's Cheonju-ho Lake. After exploring the beautiful natural scenery, it's time for some hands-on experiences. Visit this apple farm where you can pick apples and make your own juice and vinegar. The short apple trees make it easy for both pets and owners to enjoy.
There aren't many places where you can bring your dog, so it was fantastic to ride the monorail. I didn't expect to pick apples with my dog, but it turned out to be a great experience.
For large dogs like our Rangbang, finding suitable spots can be tough, so we often head to less crowded areas like mountains or beaches. Good accommodation is key when traveling. I hope our city can build more dog-friendly lodgings.
Finally, end your trip with a picnic at the Hantangang Ecological Landscape Complex. This big open space features beautiful gardens and a playground where you can practice agility skills with your furry friend. So this is the end of my trip to Pocheon with Tanbi. So just like me, if you want to travel with your furry friend, one of Korea's pet-friendly tourist cities could be an attractive option. Song Yoo-jin, Arirang News. And that's all for this week's edition of Weekly News Highlights. Thank you for tuning in, and from all of us here at Arirang News, we hope you have a great rest of your weekend.